I did expect New York to let up at some point at the Garden. Human nature. Celtics are playing hard. We have another home game. We're better than this team. They're without Tatum. Do you think New York is feeling that pressure? Do you think it will get to them at MSG? I guess your answer is no. You already said you're picking New York in the game.
Yeah, no, but it doesn't mean they're not feeling the pressure. I think they're for sure feeling the pressure, right? Because that's one where, like, all right, the series should be over, not only because you're up 3-1, but more now because Jayson Tatum is out. And then you lose to that team. You lose to a team without Tatum, and you get smoked.
It's different when you're expected to win the series.
Yes.
It's if they would have been up 3-1 and Tatum was healthy,
right?
I don't know that they'd be expected to win the series.
No, I think there'd still be people like us saying they can come back and win it. Like if Tatum was healthy, I would have said they're going to come back and win the series. And so now, but you lose that game, and now it all pivots to that. And then there's also the looming Game 7. And with that coming back to Boston, that's going to be on their mind too. And I think the Celtics will be playing a little bit more free and easy. I think that game, it was amazing the performance that they had with what was at stake. And I know we had one caller be like, oh, like it didn't really matter. I think it did. Like I think they needed to prove that they had a little bit of life left in them. You heard a lot of the guys talking about that after the game. Like what a tough blow it is to know that Tatum's out, but we can still respond to it. And they did. So, yeah, I do feel like the Knicks are going to be feeling it. And unlike the Celtics, who have a bunch of guys that have been in and have won the finals, this team hasn't done that. Like their star players certainly have not done that. So starting the series, they thought they were a huge underdog. They were the massive underdog in Vegas, and it was like, hey, if we can play competitive, we're going to get a lot of credit. Now it's like if they lose this series, it's a choke job. Like how could the Knicks choke this series away? Like what would have to happen? You'd have to get a big lead, and then Tatum would have to go down.
So I would say if the game plays out the same way, Game 6, it starts the exact same way, where the Knicks are up 9 in the second quarter, the Celtics are kind of surviving and hanging in the game, then they hit a bunch of threes and tie it up going into halftime, and then they win going away in the second half. If that's the same script and it's at MSG, the Celtics are going to lose, is what I think.
Mm-hmm.
So what I expected last night is now what needs to happen in Game 6. Jaylen has to come out aggressive, going to the hoop. That doesn't mean he needs to score 1 million points, but you got to get Brunson and Towns in foul trouble and do it early. Brunson, when did Brunson he picked them all up in the third quarter, didn't he? Pick up 5 fouls in the quarter?
Oh, let me
so Brunson was not in foul trouble in the first half. Towns was. I don't feel like Jaylen was the one taking it to him, but you got to play those guys off the floor.
Yeah, he picked up 5 fouls
in the third quarter.
How does that happen?
He was asked about it after the game.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I don't want to answer that. And I know what he meant. He's like, I don't want to get fined. But it's like, well, just answer the question. Have you ever had 5 fouls in a quarter? The answer is obviously no.
We're not in a game.
I feel like you can answer that without getting fined. I know why he didn't want to. I don't necessarily blame him. But, like, no, when has that ever happened? 5 fouls in a quarter?
In a quarter. That's like Greg Oden in Summer League. Remember, they don't foul out. I think Greg Oden's first Summer League game, he had like 10 fouls. They're like,
nice.
All right, Greg.
Yeah, you're like, Greg, you got to work on that. But
move your feet, Greg.
So I do think that's what you got to do. You got to play. You're already down Tatum. You're going to be down Porzingis, we think.
Yeah.
And that's more by choice than anything else. So you got to play those guys off the floor. You got to get them in foul trouble. Towns does a pretty good job of doing that on his own.
Yeah.
I think you got to take it to Brunson. And I think Jaylen, to his credit, frustrated Brunson a lot by defending him. Now, I haven't looked at these matchups yet, and let me dig in on these numbers momentarily.
Yeah, what do you got?
How many points do you think Brunson scored on Pritchard last night? I feel like that didn't go very well for the Celtics last night.
No,
I don't think.
That would be a pretty strong argument not to start Pritchard.
Yeah, and I even said this the other day. I'm like, I think he can be out there and he's going to defend. I feel like that did not go well. Jaylen on Brunson went great. Meaning Jaylen Brown on Jalen Brunson went great. I think the Pritchard defensively got a little exposed last night.
Yeah, there's really nobody for him to guard. You know, unless Deuce is out there running around. Deuce McBride. Other than that, I mean, you got to kind of work matchups. You got to help him out and everything else. But I think we've been talking so much about how many guys for the Celtics had great games, right? Mm-hmm. So Cornette, White, and Brown stand out as great games. The Knicks had almost everybody play poorly, right? Like, so we talked about Jalen Brunson picking up 5 fouls in 1 quarter. And then, do you know what Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby shot combined?
Oh, I was just looking at it. Anunoby was like 1 for 9.
He was atrocious.
And Bridges was like 4 for 14. I was just looking at that.
They were 5 of 26.
Yeah.
So both guys scored 20 points in game 4. They combined for 15. in this game. In fact, Bridges, what game was it? Was it game 2? He had like 14 points just in the fourth quarter. So that's an example of, are they going to be that bad at home? Because that played a big part in the Celtics being able to really pull away in the second half. Is like, you got nothing from those two guys. At least Porzingis has an excuse. Porzingis is sick and then benched. Those guys were playing and gave you absolutely nothing.
So I'll tell you, I just looked at the matchup stats. It wasn't that bad with Pritchard on Brunson. Right? Only 4 points, 2 of 4 shooting, and Jaylen Brown was not as good as I would have thought. He guarded him the most. He was the most consistent matchup. 4 of 7 shooting, 11 points. So that's at least the tracking data, which would paint a different picture than the way it looked to me. So maybe you can play Pritchard more. You're starting Kornet. Don't you kind of have to start Kornet in Game 6?
100%. Yeah, because you got to sit Porzingis, and so Porzingis. I think that'd be the one change.
Well, you could go small. You could go Horford, Jalen, Holiday, White, Pritchard. You could do that.
Yeah, I think
they're probably going to go with the double big. The problem is if you start double big, what's your substitution? You're going to need a big. Is Keita in the rotation? Do you go super small against their backups? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, I think that's what you do. I think you get one of the bigs out of the game, and then you can always go back to the double big. Because basically what they did in the second half.
I think if I remember right, in the third quarter, I think they started double big, Horford and Kornet. I want to say Horford came out at like the 2-minute mark, like with 10 minutes left in the quarter, and Pritchard came in. And that was almost like starting Pritchard for that. So if you want to give Horford a real quick start and get him out, fine.
Yeah.
But you got to figure out that rotation. If Porzingis isn't going to play,
right,
forget bringing him in off the bench. If you're just putting him on ice, another big has to come. Those guys can't play the whole game.
That's true. The way the series has gone, isn't it almost more important who you start the second half with?
Yeah.
Whether you choose it to be the same or not, because the first half, they've gotten good starts. They were trailing by 2 going into the second quarter. But all the games with Tatum, they had big leads. It felt like they built up these big leads, and then this game they were competing. They were right there with him, and it was that third quarter where, like you said, they went with a lot of Pritchard and a lot of entire quarter of Luke Kornet. Couldn't take that guy off the floor.
I've never seen him play 12 straight minutes before, but he stayed out there the whole third quarter. Jalen couldn't even play the whole third quarter. He exhausted himself in the quarter.
Do you think
Kornet was out there making plays vintage KG? I liked the best nickname I've seen on the text line, Keefe.
Besides Murder Kornet, which we've already kind of settled on.
Well, and besides, what was the other one?
Luke Flyswatter?
Yeah, that's a good one. Luke Garnett. That's a pretty good one because he looked like vintage KG for a quarter last night.
All right, what's your expectation for him in Game 6?
Oh, very little.
Okay.
I'd start him.
Yeah.
I'd start him.
8 blocks. 9 blocks.
Triple-double.
Triple-double with blocks, yeah.
He almost had a triple-double with blocks.
Yeah.
What was this guy? Hakeem Olajuwon? Unbelievable.
He was asked after the game. It was kind of funny. He was asked after the game. It's like, is it possible to lock in as a shot blocker and get hot as a shot blocker? And he's like, I don't know, man. Yeah. He's just like, I don't know. I just kind of was out there and
you were in a shot blocking zone.
He's like, the thing he said, I think that's exactly what he was asked.
That's great.
Is it possible to get in the zone as a shot blocker?
Great question.
And he was like, the thing is, when everything's going right, you just kind of second guess yourself and you just kind of go.
Yeah.
And that was how he answered it. But no, what do I expect out of Kornet? 4 points, 4 rebounds, and a block.
Big block, though?
Yeah, we're all like,
reverse dunk?
Yeah, maybe.
He's going to start banging threes again like his early career.
He does.
Did. He was hitting threes at one point.
He does have an axe to grind against New York. He's an ex-Knick.
Oh, speaking of axe to grind, what did you think of Mitchell Robinson at the stripe?
Okay.
He went 6 for 6.
It was wild, and I think he Freaky Friday'd with Drew Holiday because Drew Holiday missed 1 million free throws last night.
The Celtics did. As a team, they did.
Great point. The Celtics as a team missed 1 million. The Knicks had 40 free throws last night? It didn't feel like that.
No,
they took 40 free throws. They shot 80%.
Oh, my God.
The Celtics,
they kept putting Mitchell on the line. He made him, and I'm like, ugh.
The Celtics missed 9.
It's bad when they put him on the line. It's even worse.
The Hack-a-Mitch thing is so stupid.
Yeah.
And I already felt that way. Now you're hacking him and he's making free throws. It's that's the worst of all worlds.
Well, and there was one time, I think it might have been the second time they did it. I was like, this is going to be a time to watch because the Celtics were kind of rolling. Then they did it, and then they had a bad offensive possession after that, and then the Knicks scored again. And you're like, is this going to come back to this hack? And then it didn't, and they were fine. But it was like, is this because they were playing so well offensively and zipping the ball around, just play defense. Don't put that guy on the line.
I will say, Robinson ironically, and he had a bad plus-minus. I know Missoula only cares about his plus-minus, but I think Mitchell Robinson actually had an impact on last night's game. He was grabbing a million offensive rebounds.
He had a million rebounds.
And so...
Yeah, it was like the first 2 minutes he was in, he had 6 points and 6
So
boards.
it was the first time I kind of looked at it.
Cornet or like a Spider-Man meme. Like,
it's the first time I looked at it. I'm like, okay, Missoula, maybe he's a little better than I thought. Maybe Missoula was onto something, but of course he drains all the free throws. Just stop with this.
If you didn't put him on the line, he only would have had 2 points.
Stop with the stupid hack-a-bitch.
Yes,
Stop
please.
with it. Please, for God's sakes. 617-779-7937. Mark is in Medford waiting patiently. Go ahead, Mark.
Hey, Jonesy, how's it going? So you asked earlier, now, can they win without Tatum, but can they win without Tatum and now Porzingis? Well, they kind of answered that question last night, didn't they? It was tied 59 at halftime. They sat Porzingis for the whole second half, and they won by 25.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
That was a quick hook there.
It was. I thought he paused. I jumped in. I was a little upset he didn't say hi to Keefe.
Yeah.
He's only saying hello to me.
That's all right. Get him next time. No, I mean, Porzingis, I think it's pretty clear, like, you can't play him.
I was just saying, you have to win without Tatum and Porzingis. Part of my math and the way I was thinking about it yesterday was I expected a big game out of Porzingis, and part of the reason I believed the Celtics could win and could still win the series is because I thought you'd get more out of Porzingis. Now, that equation has changed because you're going to have to win, I think, without both. But they won a title last year without Porzingis. Mark is right, despite my quick hook. Mm-hmm. They won going away in the second half last night without Porzingis. So, yeah, I mean, some of the data would tell you they can.
Well, and one of the...
I'm just telling you, it's not just Tatum they're missing. It's now both.
Well, right. And part of the equation last year, everybody points out, some, take credit away or whatever, but, like, they didn't play a murderer's row last year. This year... The level of competition, I would say, is better, but it's still not like unbeatable.
No, agree.
Like it's
definitely better, but it's not.
It's the Indiana Pacers and the New York Knicks. Like, let's not go crazy. And who knows what even's going to come out of the Western Conference? Probably the Thunder, but we'll see.
Two scrubby-ish teams.
Yeah.
We all thought the Knicks were scrubs when the series started, and no one thought highly of the Pacers as like a true title contender. So get out of my face with that. They're very, very, very beatable teams.
Yeah.
Can the Celtics win at MSG if they're not hitting 20-plus threes like last night?
I don't think so. I think
what's the number?
Well, is it the number? Is it a number or a percentage? I bet it's more percentage.
Their
for me.
Percentage was 40-something last night.
Yeah.
They were 45%.
All right, so you're winning that game if it's 45%. I would say if it's 38. Like, I think it needs to be a little bit higher than their normal number because you don't have Tatum. So I think guys like White and Pritchard, who are going to be taking the most of them, if they're shooting pretty well, because that's the thing is, when the Knicks are up by 9, but you're burying them at a high rate, like that lead's not going to get too high.
Right.
And you're going to be right back in the game. So I would say for things to go their way, give me 38% from 3.
Okay, 38. You're locked in.
That's my number.
617
38
779-7937. Here's Sam in the van up in Maine. Where are you? It sounds like you got the windows down, Sam.
Yeah, nice convertible day.
Yeah, I do. Sorry about that. Hey, Jones and Keefe. How's it going?
Thank you, Sam. I'm doing great now.
Hey, so I think this team can still make it to the finals and win the finals. I think losing Tatum is, it's a huge loss, but you still have 4 or 5 players that could score 20-plus points any given night. And I do agree. I think the free ball needs to be more of a factor. I don't remember who was that said earlier. I think it was Isaiah Thomas that mentioned, they need to shoot less threes, but they proved earlier this series, I can't remember what was game 1 or 2, that shooting more threes is actually what needs to happen. So I think shooting more threes, and if this team can come together without Tatum and form a new temporary identity, I think.
You broke up.
We're losing you there, Sam, but thanks for the call.
That is, by the way, I'm confusing Sam in the van, who's not in a van. He's just in
Sam
Maine,
in Maine.
with Neil in the van.
I'm
mixing up Sam with Neil. That's on
Sam Van might be better.
That's on me. No, I think that's why I thought I was like, oh, it's snappy. It rhymes. That's not
it's Neil.
It's not who it is.
Yeah,
I don't think Sam is driving a van.
No,
I don't believe. But he is in Maine.
They did take more threes than 2s, which is not something we've always advocated for. But when you're hitting such a high percentage, let it fly.
So Reggie, as annoying as he was on them about shooting their way out of the game.
Which is funny. Of all people, Reggie Miller says less threes.
Seriously, but he wasn't wrong. I mean, it's ironic, but he wasn't wrong because when they were down 9, they were settling for threes and they were bricking them, and a lot of them weren't good shots. And you're like, here we go. Then they got red hot. I mean, Jalen and White, and maybe even Pritchard in that stretch at the end of the second quarter. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
Pritchard hit at least one in there. Definitely Jalen. He had one that should have been a 4-point play. White hit a bunch. they started having some ridiculous high-level shot making from three. I think they made 5 straight threes. And so,
well, Brown really kind of,
I just don't know if you can do that, rely on that anyway at MSG.
No, I agree with that. Brown played such a great offensive game where he really kind of was patient. I don't know how you can be patient and attack, but he kind of did both, right? Where he
struck a good balance.
Yeah, he found plays for other guys. When the shot was there for himself, he took it. He never forced anything. In fact, he passed up a handful of threes that I'm sure Missoula was screaming about, but he kind of was letting the offense kind of come to him, and maybe his best game as a distributor. Now, clearly, that's going to happen without Tatum, right?
It was definitely a career high in assists, right? So, I mean, in that way.
Yeah, so, even that number stands out. But just watching it, it felt like he was looking for that pass, and usually it was a good one.
Let's go to Greg in Minnesota. Hello, Greg.
How you doing, guys? A little nervous calling Boston station.
Don't worry about it. It's going to be fine.
It's not Minnesota.
Anyway,
yeah, that's true.
Very, very gutsy performance. I've been a Celtics fan since '74, believe in 1974. I'm 63. But very gutsy, very proud of the boys last night. I don't know what they can do the rest of the way, but that took a lot of heart out of that team. I mean, you lose Tatum, Porzingis is out. And my key, and you guys are probably going to laugh at me, how big does Luke Cornett play down the series now? And they got to sign him, I think, next year.
You got to sign him for next year. Well, Keefe, well, we've heard from Minnesota. Greg, don't be a stranger. Greg, thanks for calling in.
Great call.
Let's get it.
Better than my first time.
Let's get a map going.
Yeah.
Longer than your first time.
For sure.
Let's get a map going. We can put a pin
Better than my last time.
We could get a pin on the state of Minnesota. Let's check that box there.
Yeah. Callers to Jones Keefe. We're worldwide.
I do like, because we don't get a lot of calls from Minnesota. I do like that he talks about it like it's hockey. Hey, you got the boys going. Hey, it's all for the letter.
You guys expect more Luke Cornett? I would say yes.
Yeah, indeed.
I'm a yes
but
on Luke Cornett.
You said somebody's going to pay Cornett $100 million.
The first guy I thought of was years ago, Jerome James had a decent playoff series. Nothing special, but was pretty good. And the New York Knicks were give that guy all the money we have. We need to have him.
Jim McIlvaine, Todd.
Oh,
who was the guy on the Sixers? And then the Nets?
Was it Todd McCullough? Todd McCullough was the guy on the Sixers. Jim McIlvaine?
Is that
Jim
him?
McIlvaine.
McIlvaine?
That's a guy.
No, he's a coach.
Okay. He could have been a player coach, for all we know.
That was a guy who got paid, I feel like.
Yeah. Maybe.
It's not popping up.
That does happen, though. Guy has a good playoff, and you're gotta have him.
Yeah. I mean, Terp,
Fred VanVleet.
I almost yelled at Terp yesterday. Terp brought up Cornett 5 times during our interview. I'm like, too much Cornett talk over there, Terp. But you know what?
Not enough. Good job, Terp.
That's why we get pure hoops.
Isn't that what Timothy Moskoff did? He had a decent playoff run.
That's
and
a good
got a ton
one.
of money.
That's
another
a good
one. Another guy on the Knicks.
Moskoff.
Yeah.
He's no Jim McIlvaine. Wayne.
Todd? To pin that down.
Whoever it was. But, one of those guys.
Todd?
Was a gift, Todd.